terms of picking potential dates and circulating them with the committee members and inviting people and providing either the meeting space or the virtual meeting link. So unless anyone objects to that, I think we will continue to do those, the administrative functions.
I have a quick question. This is Lucas. Will all the meetings be virtual, or will there be any on-site meetings or anything of that type?
Hi, this is Patricia. I think that's up for discussion. Does this forum, Zoom or Teams, a virtual forum, does that work best for folks, or is in-person preferable?
Just for myself, at this point, virtual works better.
This is Gene. I'm not.
Others?
This is Gene. I'm not always in the country, so virtual definitely works better for me.
Okay. That's good to know. I think that was one of our questions. We weren't sure what people's preferences were.
I guess the only issue, this is Karen, I guess the only issue would be whether, as we move along, if there's some reason for the group or the committee or a couple of people from the committee to have some direct input as to a particular installation or, any installation about which maybe there was a question. Only under situations like that. I mean, it's always nice to meet in person, but if it doesn't work for people, I'm happy to stay with this. I just wouldn't want any of the content, what we're trying to do in these meetings, to be sacrificed by that. If that makes sense.
Karen, this is Josh Benson. I think it's a very good point, Karen, and maybe we would have our committee meeting, the full, group meeting can be virtual, or, maybe in the future you guys will have different situations, and maybe we will want to meet all together in a meeting room. But a site visit could be kind of like an extracurricular thing that we would be happy to join, with a smaller subset of the committee members. At a site visit, if that would be beneficial. So I wouldn't rule that out just because some of the committee members would prefer to meet virtually for the formal committee meetings.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
That's kind of where I was hoping we would go, yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's helpful. So for the time being, for these formal meetings, the full committee, we'll continue to do them in a virtual format. We could refresh people's preferences every time we get together and see if that still makes sense for the upcoming meetings beyond that. But
Do we want to take this opportunity, this is Patricia again, to maybe, since we're all on, to figure out what date might work best for the next committee meeting, which is in December. So I know that can be tough for some folks because of the holidays and vacations. So I don't know if folks are prepared to maybe look at their calendars and figure out a date so that we all walk away after today's meeting with a new date that everyone has agreed to, or is it too early?
Can I just ask before that, I didn't realize that we had even determined whether we're going to meet quarterly or that, but it sounds as though you have some dates already, or some months, I should say, already preset. Is that correct?
So this is Patricia again, the remedial order outlines a quarterly meeting for the advisory committee.
Okay.
So that's what we were planning on, and so based on our start month, the next month I believe would be in December.
Yep. Fine. We could try to pick a date. I would think earlier in the month would be better than later as you get towards the holidays for real.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So sometime the week, I'm looking at the calendar, the week of the 5th, would probably be best. So do we want to, does Thursdays usually work for folks, 10 o'clock? Those kinds of questions I think we'd want to just try and, if we can, maybe settle on it today. So the Thursday of the week of December 5th is December 8th. So I don't know if folks are prepared to make a decision, but we could put at least a hold on everyone's calendar for that morning of the 8th, which is a Thursday.
Sounds good to me.
I'm happy to say yes to that.
Right, yeah, as of now, that works for me, and I can juggle something if I need to.
Lucas, I'm fine with that.
Jane,
Yes, that'll work for me.
I think you're on mute.
I thought I had pressed my space bar. Yeah, that will work for me. I'll be in a place where it will be 9:00 p.m., but that's fine.
Do we want to do it? Okay.
Traffic ops team as well, so.
Okay. So we'll put that as a hold for now. Obviously, if things change, we can certainly revisit that. Oh, sorry, Mr. Schilling. I didn't know if you wanted to chime in as well.
Oh, yes, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, great. So we'll send around a meeting hold for December 8th at 10 o'clock. Okay, so now that we've gotten, I think, the logistics piece taken care of, I think we can open it up for the roundtable discussion, and we wanted to open it up to the other folks on the committee, whether they had.
So we're open for questions or comments?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start. This is Gene. I have two things that are on my mind about the APS. One is that the city seemed to initiate a new initiative a couple of months back, placing additional EPPs, or exclusive pedestrian phasing, around the city. And I'm just wondering how we're addressing that as a prioritization. These are crosswalks that are virtually impossible for blind people to cross at the proper time, and it creates a dangerous situation. So my question would be about that. And the second question I have is about contractor follow-up. James and Josh know that I occasionally go to an APS installation, and I'll email them with some minor or major problems with the installation. I'm just wondering how the DOT is following up to make sure the contractors are installing these things properly. Thanks.
Yeah. This is Josh Benson. Very good question, good points, Gene. I'm gonna jump on the second one first, the contractor follow-up. I think thank you for going out in the field and testing the equipment and providing feedback. It's very helpful. There's really two pieces to the post installation follow-up. It's, was the equipment installed properly and secured properly and put in the correct place, and those types of, like the physical characteristics of the installation. And then I think there are a lot of settings and information aspects of it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most of what you've been observing that needs to be addressed are the configuration type pieces.
This is Gene. Yeah, Josh, you're absolutely right. I would say that the physical installations are really excellent, and that seems to be taken care of. It's often just how the device is programmed.
Right.
Recently the unusual walk signal, the unusual locator tone, stuff like that. So you're correct.
Okay, thank you for confirming that. So I think, this is just a bigger training, issue that we need to take on. I think, what your observations are telling me at least is that we've got really good training around, the physical inspections, and maybe we need to bump up the training with the contractors and our inspectors on some of these configuration, aspects, and, I think that's where we need to go. There's more people involved in the inspections because there's a greater number of sites being worked on at once. And, had a smaller core group in the past who was doing the inspections, specifically of APS, and we've had to involve more people in it. So I think, this is something we can address through training. But, if you don't mind continuing to do the spot checks, I think it's extremely helpful. So, if you're out and about and can provide that feedback, it's certainly appreciated and helps us, zero in on the issues that we're not, catching during our inspections.
Just a quick question, Gene again, how quickly do the new installations get put up on the DOT website?
So, Gene, this is James Solentano. So we update the website on a monthly basis, typically 2 weeks after the first of the month. That way we have enough time to gather up all the installations from all of our contractors before we report it in one shot onto the website.
Thanks.
No problem.
It's Karen, can I just ask a related question? Do the contractors receive any kind of written material as to how the length of the locator tone and these other seemingly small but critically important to us components are, how they're to be done? Or, I mean, do they have some specifications to work from?
Karen, it's Josh Benson. Very good question. So, Bill, who's sitting here to my left, is reminding me that we have distributed formal documentation to all of our contractors with the configuration specifications. So we will be following up to make sure they're following the proper configuration specs. But yes, it is. It is something we've distributed to them, and it's just follow up is required.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, now I want to go back, if I can, to the first question, Gene, the new exclusive pedestrian phases. So yes, we under the court order we do prioritize exclusive pedestrian phases. There's the external requests, the leading pedestrian intervals, the exclusive pedestrian phases, and the signals that were installed. I'm forgetting the exact dates, but between 2015 to 2018. Anyway, there were a group of a few hundred signals that were installed without APS during that time period. Those are the groupings of intersections that are prioritized. So any new exclusive pedestrian phase is getting priority with those groups. We have an internal discussion going on with regard to how with new phasing, whether to implement the new phasing only when the APS is installed, or to implement it and then prioritize the installation of the APS. So that's an ongoing discussion, but our excuse me, my voice is going a little bit here, but our understanding of the court order is that those locations must be prioritized, and we are adding them to the priority list.
Gene, just a clarifying question. These new intersections that you're noticing, are these intersections that have so-called barn stances, where basically there's a phase where all the pedestrians go in all directions, and then there's a subsequent separate phases when it's only traffic?
Yeah, I'm talking about exclusive pedestrian phasing. I usually don't say barn stance because there's not, you can't cross catty corner in New York City. There are no crosswalks there. But yes, all the signals for the pedestrian on at the same time. Like the example, like what was it, 4th Street in Brooklyn or 4th Avenue?
9th Street and 4th Avenue, right, 9th Street and either 4th Avenue or 5th Avenue. I think it was 5th Avenue.
Thanks, Ray. That was the one Ray and I visited. What happens is these things go in to a neighborhood and there's no way for the blind person to know. I know that the city puts up visual notices about the new signaling and stuff. But what happens when there's an exclusive pedestrian phase is that the typical traffic queue for a blind person to cross, which is a near lane parallel surge, it's when the traffic in the crosswalk next to the blind person surges and moves, and that's the way a blind person knows that they have the walk signal. But in an EPP, that doesn't work at all, and it sends the blind person into the intersection against the traffic signal at the exact wrong time they should be crossing. And because there's no traffic queue to say when to cross, it's nearly impossible. It's a guessing game for a blind person to figure out that it's their turn to cross. So the old ones are very important, and as you point out, they're in the court order. But the new ones that just appear in neighborhoods, and I understand that, this has been a request that comes from up high, but the new ones that just appear in the neighborhood are certainly the most dangerous because without warning, that intersection could change. And if a blind pedestrian doesn't know that, they're going to cross the street at the exact wrong time. So I'm just pointing that out. I know you guys are thinking about this, but it's not a great situation.
Ray, just to echo Gene, I could
Does
not
that answer the
tell-
question,
I
Will?
could not tell when it was safe to cross.
Ray, I don't think people heard you.
Ray, could you say that again?
I went with Gene to that crossing he was talking about, and I could not tell when it was okay to cross.
Thank you both for the feedback. So we, in addition to prioritizing the exclusive pedestrian phase locations, 5th Avenue and 9th Street, because you wrote in about that location, we have added that as a public request to that bucket. Those get in this order get